Hey guys, Fox here. You know, channel's kind of getting stagnant lately. All I'm doing are pickup videos, a bunch of shorts, which are doing pretty good. But I want to change things up a bit and do a new series of videos rather. And I want to talk about what games I see personally as masterpieces. Now, this list of games, or well, this game in particular, but the series may not see you may not see them as masterpieces personally, or they might not be seen that way critically, but they are to me. Now, mind you, for me, all games do have some level of flaws in them, and no game is perfect in my opinion. But with that being said, there are some games that are just near perfect for me, and I want to call them a masterpiece. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear out a shelf. I'm going to film a video of a game I feel is a masterpiece, and I'm going to put it on that shelf, and I'm going to call it the Shelf of Masterpiece Games. So, with that all being said, the first game I'm going to talk about being a masterpiece is none other than BioShock. So, those of you who know me know that BioShock is my favorite game of all time, and for good reason. It is a game that took me by surprise. I am not a first-person shooter kind of guy, except for some of the PC games I played as a kid in the early 90s, mid-90s, like your Doom and Wolfenstein, Duke Nukem and stuff. But I really didn't play many first-person shooters, and I didn't even play BioShock when it first came out because I wasn't sure about it. I was like, it's just a shooter, I don't care. But when I got around to buying an Xbox 360, and I bought it to play Gears of War with some buddies across the country, I also picked up another game that was pretty cheap, and it was BioShock. I played that non-stop for probably a good 2 weeks, and just absolutely fell in love with it. Went straight for 100% achievements on the 360. I can't hopefully I can explain this well enough to why I see this as such a brilliant game. And probably one of the number one things for this game is the way it sets up its atmosphere. For me, I don't think any other game has done a better job of that. Now, I'm sure there's other people who've played games and can argue that fact, and that could be very well true, or I haven't played a game that set up as well of an atmosphere yet. But when you first go into BioShock after the plane crash and go into the lighthouse and take the bathysphere down to Rapture, was just amazing.
I am Andrew Ryan, and I'm here to ask you a question. Is a man not entitled to the sweat of his brow? No, says the man in Washington, it belongs to the poor. No, says the man in the Vatican, it belongs to God. No, says the man in Moscow. It belongs to everyone. I rejected those answers. Instead, I chose something different. I chose the impossible. I chose rapture. A city where the artist would not fear the censor, where the scientist would not be bound by petty morality, where the great would not be constrained by the small. And with the sweat of your brow, rapture can become your city as well.
I just love how they did all this technology and tried to put it into like kind of period correct like ways of how it would work in the late 50s or 60s if they had an advancement in technology, you know, with their radios, all the weaponry, the use of plasmids because they discovered a resource at the bottom of the ocean called Atom, and it ended up being useful and used for the public to to help the people, get them better, because Rapture was a city that wasn't ruled by necessarily direct governments. It wasn't ruled by religion or gods. It was a place for man to be man. Unfortunately, that didn't pan out so well, as the tools that were given to the people to make their lives better and easier ended up causing a lot more problems with things like addiction and power hungry and stuff like that. So when you get to Rapture, you see immediately that this place is messed up. What's going on here? And you get to see the rundown city of Rapture due to mistakes that were made to create the best city in the world. I love how all the areas in Rapture are like very period correct, with like the Art Deco theming, the awesome music that played in the backgrounds in certain areas, the pieces of food, all the posters on the wall claiming about like New Year's Eve parties or masquerade balls and stuff like that. And what was also interesting on setting up that atmosphere was how they developed these characters that were humans at one point, but were so addicted to Adam, it disfigured them, made them into almost like types of mutants, if you will, called splicers. And they were just so ravaged, wanting to get more and more Adam, they would attack like the little sisters, because these little sisters were kind of engineered to get Adam, and the splicers, or the public of Rapture, knew that, and they would try to get these little sisters. And then the big daddies were created to help protect the girls. Not necessarily. Big daddies were also there to maintain the city, of course. But I'm not going to try to get too far into the history, or the story rather, of the game, because some of you have not probably played it yet. But the combat, let's talk about the combat. The combat was a lot of fun, having one hand control your plasmids and having one hand control your weapons. This became more prominent in the second game, as you could have both out at the same time. In the first game, you could see that as a flaw, that you had to switch between what hand you were using, one that was using the plasmids or one that was using your weapons, your wrench or your guns. But I found it so interesting that you would unlock these new plasmids or powers with your left hand that could cast fire, ice, swarm of bees, electricity, setting up decoys, all kinds of stuff like that, just to assist you in combat, make combat a little more interesting instead of just running around with a gun and shooting everything. You could do combos, electrify something and it sits there and it's being electrocuted, and you can do a melee attack on it and it'll hit for extra damage. It was a lot of fun. Being able to a little later in the game, you get a research camera and you can look at use this. It kind of fills in one of your weapon slots, but you would take pictures of enemies, and more pictures of the enemies you took, it unlocked things about the enemies that assisted you on better ways to combat the enemies. And very important when you were fighting the big daddies. The big daddies those were a lot of fun, and immediately, very early in the game, you get thrown into combat with one of the big daddies right here, this one right here, and you discover that, okay, I see what these are all about. There's no messing around. You can't take these things lightly. They'll mess you up real quick. You kind of have to plan for your way of attack on how you're going to handle the big daddies, especially early in the game when you're limited on what weapons and resources you have. So much fun. I love the design. I liked when you are wandering around the city and you look out one of the windows into the ocean floor. You can see big daddies in the background working on the city, making sure the city is still operating. And what else is great? Just the music very specifically setting up the ambiance of the game and the feel of what you're getting into, or the combat that's happening, or just like setting up an area was actually brilliant. It may not be the best soundtrack to listen to on its own, like in your car or something, but for matching what was happening in the game, it was fantastic. What else can I say about this game? I just absolutely love it. The characters that were created, your Fontaine, your Andrew Ryan, Sinclair. There were so many great kind of enemies, but other characters in the games that really set things up. It was absolutely amazing. I loved it. As a matter of fact, I'm going to throw in a little video of the combat right now.
Mr. B.
So yeah, this is why I think BioShock is an absolute masterpiece. As I've been talking to you guys, I've been trying to show off some of the stuff in my collection here, and why I love this game so much. This is pretty cool. For those of you who have not seen this, this statue or setup came with the 10th anniversary collector's edition. Let me turn it on here.
Come on, Mr. B. Time to find some angel.
That's pretty cool. With the little sister's eyes lighting up, so on the Big Daddy as well. It's all controlled with a little switch down here. And then the roulette spins. This is really cool. This is probably why the 10th anniversary collector's edition, I'm pretty sure, is the most valuable collector's edition in my collection. And it's because of this statue. It's really cool. Some other collector pieces, we might as well look at the collection a little bit. We got a lunchbox there, Brute Splicer, Bunny Splicer mask, plasmid shot glasses. This is BioShock Infinite stuff here, and this is BioShock 2 right here. But up here is the special stuff. We got the original collector's edition. This one's for games for Windows. And it came with this pewter statue of a Big Daddy. This little sister was supposed to be sold like, it was originally planned to be a pre-order bonus for the game. So you would get this when you bought this, that way you can have her next to it. That didn't happen, but what they ended up doing was selling these on their website later on pretty cheap, which was pretty nice. That's just a little Big Daddy little vinyl figurine. A very important piece of my collection is this Andrew Ryan statue. I believe only 100 of these were made, and when the Irrational Games store first went up, they had, I think, maybe 10 of these up for sale, and I was lucky and I got one of them. So very happy to have that. There's my original copy of BioShock back there, and as you can see, it's signed by Ken Levine. He is the director and creative director of the game. Back here is a, it's like a little, what do you call it? Kind of like a press kit thing, but it wasn't for the press. Kind of was, but it was given to like GameStop managers. And inside it had like a faceplate for the 360, like a lanyard, some stickers, and a code and stuff like that. Got the little BioShock collector coin. This special BioShock Lego figure and little minifigure of a little sister. I got that from a convention up in Denver. A guy who just built this massive, huge, cool setting of Rapture. He was selling these little sets that he made himself. Obviously not an authorized Lego building set. On the side here, you'll see some Breaking the Mold books. And the one on the outside here, this one was one that people could buy. And this one here, the developer's edition art book, was something that was given out to the dev team. Took me a long time to find a copy of that, but it's pretty cool. And up top, I got my BioShock hat. The steelbook that was only in Europe for the 360. The box that the 10th anniversary came in, and a custom BioShock sign that a friend found for me that somebody on Etsy made for me. I think it was made in Australia and sent to me. Really like that sign. So there you have it, guys. Game number 1 for the Masterpiece shelf is BioShock. Thanks for watching.